happening.
Going wrong.
As per usual.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome
to On the Haunt. I'm Whitney.
I'm Amy.
We're on the haunt. We're such dorks already.
We really are. This is great. It's crunch time.
It's crunch time.
Big time crunch time.
Got some vacations coming up, so we're prepping ahead for you all.
Trying our best.
On the top, up top, I'd like to just put out a shameless plug. Please leave us some reviews. We're stagnant at 6.
Yes.
It's sad and depressing.
It truly is.
Please rate, review, and subscribe if you're on Apple Podcasts. We would love that so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I check regularly.
Me too.
But I don't even listen on Apple, so
Me neither.
Shouldn't chastise others for
Nope,
that.
I don't either. Especially,
it
sucks. It's
but
annoying.
I think they can also, can you
follow? You can follow on
us
Spotify.
And you can follow our social media.
Yep.
And I know some, can they leave reviews?
I think so on Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
If you are a Facebooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's all. I just had to say that.
Yeah. And we just appreciate anyone who's been reaching out. We do read your comments.
We do. We read your emails.
We do. Be patient with us. Contrary to popular belief, we are not sister wives. We don't live together.
We don't.
We really only see each other.
We have real jobs
once a week. So,
right.
And when you reach out to us, we kind of like to sit down together because this is our thing.
Yeah.
And you know,
absolutely.
take it from there.
So send us more emails, though, onthehaunt@gmail.com. If you have paranormal experiences, we'd love to hear about them. So hit us up.
Yeah.
Cool. Got anything else? Do you have any haunted housekeeping, Amy?
I can't think of any haunted housekeeping. We have?
Nope.
No? Okay. And I just listened to our
Did you?
newest episode this morning.
And we're good.
Yeah. Was
Okay,
it this
great.
morning?
Doesn't matter.
No. Maybe it was yesterday on my walk. I don't know.
Anyway, it's really hot in Missouri right now. COVID numbers are spiking. It's just, oh gosh. Yeah. What am I talking
I don't know.
about?
This is terrible. It is 4:00 in the afternoon. This is not our prime time, clearly, to be doing this.
We're talking about the weather.
No one cares.
Oh, about the weather. It's humid. Well, go on with your story, Amy.
Okay.
Let's get into the creepy
just do
stuff.
Let's do what the people want.
Okay.
All right. My topic this week. I got the inspiration from a show that Hulu recommend. You know how Hulu will be like, TV shows we think you would like.
Sorry, I'm about to open this Coke.
Okay. And Hulu was like, hey, we think you'll like this, Amy. It's called...
What?
I don't remember what it's called.
It's called
House. No.
What?
Hometown Horror. Dang it! There's got to be a pill for this. Like, why can't I knew it started with an H.
Well, you were looking over at the computer too. I was so confused.
I'm trying to think. I was looking off into space.
Oh, okay. Well, it looked like you were looking at the Beatles.
That's my...
The Beatles, yes.
That's my... Am I having a stroke or why can't I think of this?
Do I have Alzheimer's?
When it first popped up, I was like, oh, is that on the ID channel? Because it totally sounds like something that would be on the ID channel.
Hometown Horrors?
Hometown Horror. No. No.
That's a different show.
That's a way different show. That's like live PD right there. No. Hometown Horror. HORROR.
That's what I said. Is that what you said, though?
Yes.
Or is it Hometown Haunting?
No, horror. Hometown Horror.
Okay. I said horror. It's hard to...
You said horrors.
I'm trying to say horror. It's just really hard to say.
It is hard to say.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to say the other word.
But
Moving
it was on
on.
the Travel Channel.
Okay.
So then I was like, oh, okay then. That might be my kind of jam. So...
Are you not into the ID ones?
No, I am.
Oh, okay.
But that would not give me inspiration for our
Podcast.
paranormal podcast.
Yeah.
So I checked it out.
I'm with you now. I'm following.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
gosh.
I love ID. Are you kidding me?
I know. Well, I was like, I thought that the word haunting was in it. I'm still thinking it's
There's
hometown
no
hauntings.
haunting. No.
Hometown horror.
Which does sound like something that could be on the ID channel.
Yeah.
Because there's always like
Murders.
the terrible neighbors next door or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. Who the bleep did I marry?
Yes. Okay. So
Moving on.
my sources this week
Well, what's your
are-
topic?
Oh. I right over that.
I am patiently, anxiously awaiting to write it down on this piece of paper in this kitten notebook.
The Pigman of Angola. No way you've heard of that one.
Of what?
Angola.
Angola.
Yes.
Spelled how it sounds?
Yes.
Got it.
So,
bizarre.
My sources are Hometown Horror on Travel Channel.
Horror.
And...
oh, no, it's happening again.
Weebly.com. There was a story on there written by MC
Hammer.
Hageman. You're very close to MC Hammer. MC Hageman. And when you get on Weebly to like get a story, you can't copy and paste without the office permission.
That is rude.
So I had to type. No. Which actually is good because it made me not copy this word for word.
Yes.
So you can't come after me, MC Hammer. All right, so shall we get into the Pigman of Angola?
We shall. Should I turn this fan on? Are you hot? Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay, I'm good. Right. I'm good too. I'm really not.
So this legend takes place in the town of Angola, New York.
New York, okay.
Holland Road is known by the locals as Pigman Road. But this isn't the only location in Angola where the elusive Pigman has been spotted. So for the most part, people go to this place called Holland Road, which all the locals refer to as Pigman Road, to do things to try and lure Pigman out.
Got it.
The town itself kind of sort of came to be in 1852 when the Buffalo and State Line Railroad laid tracks through the area, at the time referring to the area as Evans Station. And back in those days, that's how a lot of towns sprung up.
Yeah.
It was anytime a railroad would run through, and then, a town just out of convenience would pop up.
Yep.
There are a lot of conflicting stories on when and why the name was later changed from Evans Station to Angola, but who cares? I don't. Because, really.
Who gives a crap?
Has nothing to do with the story. Because of the railroad, several hotels were built and opened, thus creating the thriving town of what is now known as Angola. So, in 1855, a guy named Alyssa Derricks.
A guy named Alyssa.
Yeah, his name's
I
Alyssa,
like it.
Set up a homestead just south of Angola. And it ran right along the railroad tracks. Winters in the area are known to be quite harsh. So in late November of 1860, a steam freighter on Lake Erie got caught up in a terrible blizzard and attempted to steer into a bay off of Angola to get out of the storm, but it struck a rock and sank.
Oh, gosh.
Amazingly, all 24 crew members reportedly were able to make it to shore without drowning. But once they got to the bank, they were stranded and they all froze to death.
Oh, great.
Which is so horrible.
You'd just rather drown.
And it's rumored that today that a lot of the cargo from the down freighter can be found at the bottom of the bay. So just a little bit of tragedy that happened in the area that could maybe lead to you believing there are some paranormal happenings in the area. Now back to Alicia. Alicia. I don't know.
Alyssa. You said Alyssa.
Right? Whatever.
Alicia, Alyssa, Alicia.
Silver
Stone.
Anyways, Elisha. Alicia.
Elisha.
Elijah. I don't know. Let's say Elijah. That sounds more masculine. He is resourceful.
Okay.
He and his sons, Loring and Henry, well, at least
Henry's like, yes.
would often walk around along the railroad tracks and collect coal that had fallen off of the passing trains, and they would take that home to keep their family warm. So very resourceful.
So sad.
So in December of 1867, this is terrible, shame on them. While his sons were collecting coal, they decided to swipe a couple railroad ties to use as bracing for some of their fencing that needed repaired. No.
Did they think that through?
Yeah, go chop down a tree.
Yes, what?
Or repair the fencing you have now. You can't just take
railroad ties. It's going to cause a train to derail.
Yes. So December 18th, at around 3 p.m., while crossing over a bridge, the last two cars of a train jumped the tracks, causing them to fall 50 feet to the frozen gorge below.
God.
Both cars burst into flames up on impact, trapping the passengers on board. Nearly 50 people lost their lives, with countless others suffering multiple injuries and burns, and only 3 passengers from the in-car survived.
Can you imagine?
No.
Oh my God.
So newspapers dubbed the incident the Angola horror.
Yeah.
Which they still...
Again, that word. It's just like following us.
Oh, time out.
Oh.
So American Horror Stories.
Yes.
Have you watched it?
No, not yet, but I saw it today.
Oh man, it is
It's rubber.
stacked with
It's
talent.
the Rubber Woman.
Yes.
With Paris Jackson.
Paris Jackson, Kaya Gerber.
Kaya Gerber. Is that's a high...
Cindy Crawford's
yes,
daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's excellent.
Okay. Is it more like the original, like season 1?
Yeah, they're back at the murder house.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, just kind
That's
of
my
a whole new
favorite.
cast of characters.
Love it. Okay,
basically.
cool.
No Connie Britton with her beautiful hair, but
Well, that
you
is
know,
disappointing.
It is what it is.
Or Dylan McDermott, was he in that?
Yeah, I think he was in... Yeah.
Anyway,
All
we're
right.
losers.
All right, so it was dubbed the Angola horror. Even though I can say American Horror Stories with no problem.
I know.
What's up with that?
Hometown horror is
Yeah.
really hard to say. You try it at home. Oh,
Yeah.
you did it so great. Fine.
Good for
It's just
you.
us.
Nah, braggarts. Authorities, though, went out of their way to cover up what the Derrick boys had done in order to prevent people from seeking their own justice. Because, you know, back in those days, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. But also,
I mean,
they shouldn't have done
Terrible.
that. In fact, the authorities told the public, this is so dumb, that the accident occurred because the train ran over a frog on the tracks. Okay. I mean,
No, that would just squish
that
the
would
frog.
exactly.
There would be no impact.
No, zero.
No
Frogs
one would
are
even
really
know.
Pliable
They're
animals.
super squishy. The other day I was driving home after dropping you off and pulled into the garage and a frog jumped on my window. I almost shat myself.
Yikes.
Scared me to death.
He's like, hello, welcome home.
I know. And
honey.
I'm like, ah! So I just tell you that to know that if a train ran over that frog, you'd never know.
No, so, but I don't know.
You ever ran
Most
over a
people-
frog with your car on accident? Probably, and you didn't even know.
My dog will occasionally find a frog, and when she
Ew,
gets it
to
in her mouth,
eat?
she doesn't know what she's doing. She's so dumb. But like, she'll foam at the mouth really badly, and I'm like, what, are you gonna die? I don't know. I guess I'll just wait and see what happens.
Like after
here.
she eats it or
Yeah,
bites
she
it?
doesn't really even eat it. She'll just, if she bites it, then there's something
Ugh,
in them that
that's
makes
so
her
gross.
mouth,
Can you
like,
imagine biting a
there's just,
frog?
like, foam all
That's
over her
sick.
face. It's so gross.
I just can't imagine biting a frog.
She's so dumb.
So gross. Have you ever eaten frog legs, though?
Yes,
Me too.
they're delicious.
They are delicious.
My boys have been frogging, actually.
Right.
It's frog season.
Is that
right
like
now.
a Missouri thing or a Southern thing? Or
I don't know.
do you eat frog legs where you live?
They gig them.
Is that weird? We don't know.
We enjoy. They taste like chicken.
Yeah. That's like, why wouldn't you just eat chicken?
Well, I know, but
Anyway,
it's a delicacy.
It
in the
is.
Midwest,
There's not
okay?
much meat on them.
No, there's really not. So you feel
One
like you're
bite,
not being bad.
I'm so full. What am I saying?
It's an appetizer. All right, so
Moving on.
back to my story. Loring and Henry, the little
Brothers.
turds who like caused the accident. They grew up and remained in Angola, where they were both employed by the Emblem Bicycle Company. They both married, with Loring marrying a fellow outcast, Betsy Crabtree, whose parents were
Betsy.
first cousins.
Oh, Lord.
That's not Betsy's fault, though. Why is she going to be an outcast?
Well, because she's probably... I mean, first cousins, yikes. You're sharing a lot of DNA.
You really are. Oh, Betsy Crabtree.
Sorry, Betsy. It's not your fault.
Where am I? A devastating fire broke out in Angola on March 13, 1904, destroying several businesses in town. Many locals accused Henry of setting the fire.
Because he
couldn't-
probably did.
Well, they
Okay.
just kind of like...
He's the
everyone
scapegoat
knew
now?
they were the reason the train crashed. So now everything that happens
Is
must
them.
be Loring
Yeah.
and Henry. I'm not saying he didn't, but
Yeah,
that was just
it's
kind of
not
like, you know how it is.
proven.
It's like when
Yeah.
someone gets a reputation for something.
Oh, yeah, we've got
then
those
something
people.
happens,
We all know
it's
those
like,
people.
oh, you know it was so-and-so.
Yeah.
So he couldn't deal with the harassment. So he just packed up his family and moved away. So then...
Goodbye.
Then the harassment turned to Loring and Betsy. No one wanted to associate with the Derricks, and they were soon turned away by churches and local organizations.
Well, churches, that's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
That's not the purpose of you.
No.
Just saying.
That isn't very charitable.
It isn't.
In April of 1913, she gave birth to her and Loring's only child, William Derricks. The baby was born with the body of normal proportions but had a swine-like split nose and cleft lip.
Aww.
Since they'd already been ostracized by the community, they lived a very secluded life, keeping William out of the public eye to protect him from the harassment and ridicule.
That's so sad.
Really sad.
Wait, okay. I understand the cleft lip.
Yes.
What's the nose thing? It's like I've never heard anything like that before.
Sometimes a cleft lip can go up so far that it could split.
Cause your nose to kind of...
I mean, that's Operation Smile. Hello.
Right.
That can be fixed,
nowadays, it wouldn't be a big deal.
No, it really wouldn't. But back then,
well, depending where you live, I guess.
Ostracized by the community, not accepted. So they just knew he was already, had he been born, without any type of abnormality, he would still be harassed and picked on. So this was just, they're like, oh my gosh, we have to keep this kid
out
of the public
protecting him. And I say that's not a big deal nowadays in countries like America.
Right. Which it probably is still, like as a parent.
Yes.
Anytime
but
you
at
have
least
a
it
child
could be,
who has to have some sort of procedure.
Yeah.
That's very
At least
scary,
it could be probably fixed.
Yes.
Relatively easily.
Yes.
Oh, that poor baby.
So on June 29th of 1980, a trolley freight jumped the tracks in Angola.
Again?
Well, this is a trolley, though. This is like a trolley going through town. So not a train, a trolley.
Okay, they have a trolley?
Yes.
This town is like
due to faulty brakes, but rumors soon started circulating that Loring had been seen on the tracks the night before, and the harassment continued.
Well, yeah, everyone's like him again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as William grew older, he became friends with a local butcher. And many believe
William's the son.
William's the son that was born with the abnormality. Many believe this. So he started hanging out with this local butcher, and many think that that's where his nickname Pigman first came into play, because he became the assistant to his butcher friend, which is so.
And you're like, and no, it wasn't.
No,
that's not where it first came into. No,
you people are rude.
Yeah, and people are nasty and mean.
They really are.
So
yeah, he can't help it.
No
jerks. So for a brief time, William traveled as a sideshow act with touring oddities companies. So think like P.T. Barnum, Ripley's, those type of shows. He traveled with them just to get away from, the taunting and the harassment.
And it was a way to make money.
Yeah. But he realized that wasn't really the life for him.
Sure.
It was just too much, It's like, okay, I'm trying to get away from this, and now I'm putting myself out there where that's all I'm receiving.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, though, if there would be, like, some sort of camaraderie, among the people there, where you're like, these are people who get how you feel,
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword.
It really is. So he went back to Angola. And he moved back to where their original home had been, where he had lived with his parents, and a landfill opened in close proximity to that home on Holland Road. So he took a job as a night watchman, which was ideal for him because it kept him out of the public eye.
Yeah.
At some point
ideal
in
job
time,
for me too.
Yeah. There are a lot of conflicting dates on the things I looked at, but at some point in time he married Mildred Crabtree, his cousin.
No. Are there just nobody? There's nobody in Angola.
No, there's really not. There's a trolley.
And all your cousins.
God. So him and, what did I say her name was? Mildred, they started collecting all sorts of stuff on their property. So eventually they were like
what?
They were like
hoarders?
The show hoarders, yes. 100%. That was them.
They're collecting that old trolley.
Yes. So William thought that the junk was very valuable. And he would
all hoarders do.
And he would go to great lengths to keep people off of his property. Many report he would put the heads of pigs on stakes to scare away would-be trespassers. It's also believed that many called him Pigman because he was so frequently seen digging through the garbage for treasures. Besides his son, it's rumored that William and Mildred had twin daughters, but no records can be found. Mildred died in 1966, and it's reported she was buried illegally on the family property. You can't just go bury. You gotta have a permit.
I know, but that's such crap that you can't just bury your family member wherever you want.
Well, you know how I feel about the funeral industry.
Yeah, it's such a scam, man.
It really is.
Yeah.
So Town Talk said that the twins were sent to live with a relative, even though their dad is still alive. Since their mom died, they sent the twin girls to live with a relative, and William Jr. was sent to live with some guy. I don't know. And William Sr. became even more reclusive.
Great.
So in the 60s and 70s...
Just more things.
Yes. The stories of Pigman harassing couples making out and teens being started. and teens just being teens, I wrote, started to surface. So, in 1972...
He's the Zodiac now.
Yeah, 2 teenagers, Jacob Nesbitt and Melissa Mallory, pulled over on Holland Road trying to read a map when out of nowhere smoke and flames surrounded their car.
What?
They started the car and fled only to find that the tunnel on Holland Road was blocked by a black Ford truck. Their statement to the police reads, "We pulled out of the fire and swung the car around, heading back towards the lake. When we reached the bridge, we couldn't pass. It was blocked by a black Ford pickup, an older model, maybe a 65. It had chrome exhaust stacks on both sides of the cab and no plates and a homemade wooden flatbed. The engine was revving and the headlights glared and vibrated as if loose. Flames shot from the exhaust stacks." Whoa. This is like the truck pull, the county fair.
I know what you did last summer.
Yeah,
they're like,
we turned the car around and headed back in the opposite direction as fast as we could. The truck followed until we passed the second bridge. When we reached the other side, the truck didn't follow. We reached a crossing, turned left, and sped away as fast as we could. So after they filed this report, police went to the scene, but they found nothing other than scorched grass and gravel. Like, and those exhaust pipes. I need to get some of those. That'd be cool. On my Jeep Cherokee.
With Pennywise on the back.
And permit driver sticker in the back. Look out.
And there's just flames. Just like coming out the back. That seems really dangerous. Like, I don't want flames near my gasoline-powered vehicle.
You could really quite easily start a wildfire that could spread out of control with that.
Especially wherever the heck he is.
William, if that was you, quit.
So he's just so angry at teens making out. It's literally the Zodiac.
And they weren't even making out. They were, well, maybe they were, and they told their parents they were reading a map.
You're reading a map? Is that what you call it these days?
Yeah, it's Holland Road. It goes forward or backward. What are you reading a map for?
Yeah, you're not reading a map.
So that same year, a missing persons case came up. A man by the name of Harris Tompkins was doing a survey for a utility company in the area and ended up missing. He was a middle-aged man and was last seen visiting homes along Route 5 near Holland Road. When police went by William's house to question if he had seen anything, they found a bunch of people and animals living in absolute squalor. I don't know who these people are, where they... Now William collects humans.
People, he's the Manson family.
He is.
This is weird.
Yeah. So the house was packed with newspapers, feces, animals, and junk.
Feces.
I don't know if they're just like
packed to the gills.
Like,
God,
like Play-Doh. I don't know. It's so gross.
So what else besides feces? That's all I heard.
Newspapers, feces, animals, and junk. The smell alone.
Oh, gosh.
Local authorities were notified as there was a child living in these conditions.
Oh, no.
He was believed to be around 11 years old, but William Jr. and William Sr. were nowhere to be found.
That's so sad.
On Halloween night in 1973, a fire broke out in the home. The house was completely destroyed, but no bodies were ever found. The sightings of Pigman still continued. Fishermen and hunters would often report strange stories of being watched while they were in the woods. Many makeshift shelters could be found in the woods. Unexplained piles of trash would mysteriously appear along the road.
Just in and out wrappers. Yeah. I don't know.
And then they would just disappear not long after.
The trash?
Yes. So like piles of trash here.
Picking it up.
Well, maybe someone adopted a highway. I don't know, but whatever. Mutilated animal carcasses were often found hanging from trees, and on a few occasions, these carcasses were slung over the top of bridges and dangling at the entrance. So obviously, that's very intentional. Someone's messing.
Yeah, and it's meant to be intimidating.
Yeah. And that's like on The Walking Dead. Remember when they would hang the zombies over the thing to intimidate people? Gross.
Yeah.
So sometime in the 1980s, Holland Road was repaved, making it possible for travelers to easily use that road again. For some reason, those one-lane bridges, though, were left untouched. No one seems to know why. All through the 80s until today, reports and stories continue about sightings of the Pigman. Here are some examples of experiences reported by travelers when traveling on Holland Road, a.k.a. Pigman Road.
Okay.
being followed by a vehicle that seems to come from nowhere and disappears into thin air when entering or exiting the bridges. Cries, screams, and squeals coming from the woods.
And why does he have to squeal?
Yeah. Fires.
Or what is it that they say to...
Suey. Suey.
Why do they say that?
Huh?
Why? Like,
I don't know.
It's so weird.
I guess the pigs like it.
Is their name Suey?
I don't know. Sue. I don't know. Anyways, other things. No.
I just don't understand why we say that. Anywho. Does anyone else understand what we're saying?
Yeah, it should be Wilbur.
Yeah, Sam, do people do that in New Zealand? Probably not. It's embarrassing.
Fires in the woods or even on the road that unexplainably extinguish themselves.
What?
Shadow figures on the bridges. Sightings of Pigman himself doing all sorts of different things. Anything from walking, driving a vehicle, picking up trash along the road, chopping trees, or flagging down a vehicle to stop.
Ugh.
People have even reported seeing ghost trains travel along the bridges. It's also reported that many times when people are traveling on Holland Road, they will lose cell phone, radio, and GPS signal. They also report that radio stations change when passing through the bridges.
The Pigman's like, nope.
No. So now I'm going to move to the episode of Hometown Horror on the Travel Channel.
Horror.
So we open with Mark. And this is so funny. You can tell these people are like, oh my God, nothing ever happens here. I'm so excited right now. But whatever. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have a story.
And that would be me.
I'm not even going to sit here and badmouth them.
That would be me.
And so you got this guy, Mark, and he's telling how his high school friend, Gary, said he saw stuff up there and encouraged them to drive and park between bridges and honk the horn to lure Pigman out. So this is one of those shows. I love these types of shows where they interview the people that the events actually happened to.
Yes.
But then they have a reenactment.
Oh, of course.
So now we have the reenactment.
Oh, God,
of Mark
help us.
and Gary and some other guy. So they arrive at dark and park, and they said they were in a car, but the reenactment had them in a van, which is so funny.
Den of sin.
And so they pull in, they park, and they start honking their horn. Because rumor...
3 men in a van?
Yes.
So
well, they're
funny.
like teenagers, I think, at the
That's
time.
even worse.
But rumor has it if you honk your horn, Pigman will come out. So
Because he's just waiting there.
Yeah. At first, nothing happens. Then Gary says, do you hear that? And they all heard branches snapping. And something started circling the van. So for some reason, one of the kids in the van, I didn't catch his name. It wasn't Mark or Gary. He freaks out and decides to get out of the car.
No.
And just start like running around. I'm like,
away. Goodbye.
Okay, the thing that you're scared of
out there.
outside of
Lock,
the vehicle.
yes.
And they're just like, what are you doing? Get back in the car.
Oh my God. Lock the door.
Yeah. So Mark and Gary see a 6.5-foot tall figure standing at the edge of the woods heading toward them. So then their dumb friend is like, oh, God, yikes, and runs back, jumps in the van, and they burn rubber out of there. So
In their minivan?
Yeah, in their minivan. Well, it wasn't even a minivan. It was like a shag carpet van.
Like a Scooby-Doo van?
Yes.
That's awesome.
And Mark is like, I know we saw Pigman that night. Then we meet Connor. Connor is us.
Connor.
Connor
Okay.
is our people.
Okay, great.
He lives right by Holland Road, a.k.a. Pigman Road.
Yeah.
He says he grew up being told the legend of Pigman, and he takes us on a little tour of the road. He walks us down it, and he's like, and here are the little the bridges are like those legit
Covered.
old tunnel
Covered bridges,
you drive through,
Those are
and
cool.
there's graffiti on them. So he's pointing out some of the graffiti.
It's about the graffiti is like about Pigman.
Well, one of them says, "Don't look at me."
Oh,
And
hold on. What is that from?
Christina.
Yeah.
We've been there before.
Don't look at me.
And another one says, "Everyone always leaves."
That's such a weird thing to graffiti.
It is, but it's kind of creepy.
Is that
too,
him?
You're-
He's like, everyone always leaves
No,
me.
he's just pointing out this graffiti.
No, not Connor. Connor.
Oh, you mean Pigman?
Pigman?
Well, probably how he feels.
Everyone always leaves. How old would he be at this point?
Old.
Yeah.
So in 2015,
Maybe he's supernatural being,
So Connor
though.
tells a story about something that happened with him and his friends, Mike and Kevin.
Okay.
Connor was like, yeah, you guys know, you grew up here, so obviously you know about Pigman. These woods are right by my house. Let's go walk around the woods and see if we see anything. So they're just wandering around the woods. They don't see anything. So they go back to Connor's house, and Connor's parents are away on vacation. So they're
the beginning of a scary movie right here.
So they're back at his house, and his friend Mike goes outside to talk on the phone. And he can hear something in the woods just like running back and forth. And something catches his eye. And they're interviewing Connor's friends at this point on the show, too. And reenacting.
It's awesome.
So then he's just standing out there like, what's going on? And something starts throwing rocks at him.
Oh
so
my
he's just standing there like getting pelted with rocks.
Make a move, Connor. Connor's friend.
Well, it's Mike.
Mike.
Yeah. So Mike just like, what's throwing rocks at me? And
Go
yells for the
inside.
other two guys like, hey, get out here. Something's throwing rocks at me. And the rocks just keep flying, even when the other two come out.
Whoa.
So Mike just like jumps in his car and bolts. And Kevin's like, I ain't sticking around for this either, but...
Don't leave Connor there alone.
True Kevin fashion, he's like, my keys are in the house.
Oh my God, Kevin.
I can't go anywhere. So he turns to go back into the house to get his keys, and he sees someone walking through Connor's house.
What?
So then he's like, I'm not going in there. And Connor's like, I'm not going in there. So then they like sit there and talk themselves.
Well, if Mike hadn't left him,
they couldn't go, Mike.
Mike just left them.
What are you driving,
You're the one
Mike?
in your Scooby-Doo van, probably.
You gotta have some, what is it, like a Fiat or something? You can't get your buddies in there with you?
That's mean. Oh my God.
So after about 5 minutes, though, they do work up the courage to
There is
go into the
no
house
way.
to get the keys.
No.
So they started looking all over the house, and they were
For
scared.
what? The keys or the person?
Both.
Oh.
They were like using their flashlights on their phone and like pushing doors open real hard to see if anything was hiding
with
back
your
there.
feet.
So Kevin found his keys and took off running.
Connor.
Yeah. So now Connor takes us on like a little investigation to try and find the origins of Pigman. So he like starts doing like research and stuff.
Okay.
I love Connor.
Did he make it out of that night alive, I guess?
Yeah, he's on this episode.
Okay. Oh.
Connor is the real star of the Hometown Horror.
Okay.
So he learned that William Derricks did in fact live there and had severe facial deformities and was shunned by the community.
In his house?
No, but
in the area.
In the area.
Sorry, I'm really...
And he lived on that road until his home burned down, which we talked about. That
right,
happened
and we just don't know.
Halloween. He was harassed his entire life by locals. So he's kind of like, so maybe this really is the spirit of Pigman coming back for retribution for all of the...
He's angry.
Yeah. All right, next we meet Phil.
These people's names.
I know. Not Dr. Phil, just Phil.
Regular Phil.
I think this is where I started, like, I was tired of typing, so I started speech to text, so hopefully this doesn't go off the rails. All right, so one night,
hopefully it does.
Phil and two of his friends go to check out Pigman Road themselves to see what's up with it. So you know how it is when you live in this small town, there's nothing to do. There's like an urban legend, you got to go test it.
Yes.
So they pull over and get out of the car. They hear scraping sounds coming from the tunnel. They see something off in the shadows, which he described as a massive form.
Ew.
So Phil tells his buddies, this is a bad idea and we need to go. So they jump into the car and notice a red light behind them, but no car is coming. So his friend throws the car into drive and guns it, but they don't go anywhere. So he's like, puts it drive, whoom, hits the gas.
Nothing.
But they don't go anywhere. So it's like something has grabbed a hold of the back bumper and lifted the back two tires off of the ground. So think if you have a car that's rear wheel drive.
Yeah, you're not moving.
So if your back tires are lifted up, you're not going anywhere.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
So suddenly the car drops, tires squeal, and they take off. So when they get further up the road, they stop and they get out and investigate and they look under the rear bumper and there were finger streaks coming all the way up the bumper as if something had lifted the entire back of the car. So good, nice contribution, Phil.
Phil, I would have
forgot all about that and I just watched this. All right, Connor's back.
Okay, Connor.
Now we're walking around the woods along Pigman Road. He finds some cinder blocks and old roofing, and he's like, this is where William Derrick's house had been until it burned down in the 70s. He doesn't really know. But it could be.
It's fine.
And we learn that Derrick's wife died in 1966, And he really started going off the rails then. Got his job at the butcher shop, putting pig heads on steaks to scare away people who were taunting him. We'd already talked about that.
That's so gross.
So then here comes Angelica.
Oh.
Angelica and her sister and some friends went to Pigman Road in her sister's truck. Even though in the reenactment they were in a car. So
the reenactment's really
Hometown horror is really not very accurate with the reenactment.
Yeah, they don't have a good vehicle budget.
So when they're out there, they hear a loud squealing sound and start to freak out. They became overwhelmed by a feeling of negativity, and they said they were paralyzed with fear. They took off, but when they got home, they still felt negative. Angelica went to the hospital.
Me too, Angelica.
Angelica went to the hospital the next day with appendicitis.
Oh, gosh.
And
the Pigman gave her... Are there wild pigs in these?
She's blaming Pigman.
Are there wild pigs in these forests?
And then
Squeal!
The next day, her sister fell ill and had a hole in her heart.
What?
They blamed Pigman for both things. That's stupid.
Well, as someone who has had appendicitis...
She was like, I felt totally fine until I went to Pigman
Yeah, me too.
Road.
Well, I mean, I felt fine until I got appendicitis.
Sure that's how appendicitis works. It just kind of like...
It just happens, man.
It's not gradual.
No, it's immediate.
All right, so hey, Connor. Welcome back.
I got a hole in your heart.
So Connor learns that the butcher shop is still standing today. So he walks to this old shack and tells us...
All this is in the woods?
Yeah.
This is creepy.
And he said William never did any of the actual butchering at the shop, but he cleaned up the blood and stuff. So he was just more of like a general
Which is
laborer.
worse.
Legend has it that 2 teenagers came to William's house to harass him, and he murdered them and butchered them and put their heads on
Do you know Chris
stakes.
used to be a butcher?
Really? I did
Yes.
not.
Chris.
What an
Chris.
interesting...
I know. I don't think I could be a butcher.
It's not... I wouldn't be grossed out by anything. I just wouldn't have a clue what I was doing.
No, I would be grossed out, I think, a bit.
I don't think I'd be grossed out. But...
Okay, say that last part that you just said again, please.
Legend. This is a legend.
Yeah,
Connor
sure.
Sharing
I'm all about legends.
Yeah, the 2 teenagers that went to William's house to harass him, and he murdered them, butchered them, and put their heads on stakes. But Connor found no records of this. I'm fairly certain there would be thorough records of this.
Photographs,
if he was like Vlad the Impaler,
yes,
putting people's heads on stakes.
Oh my God.
Connor's grandparents have told him that they have heard screams at night outside their home for years. They believe it's
Move away.
Yeah, they think it's the spirits though of those who died in the train crash.
Well, yeah, maybe.
And then local author named somebody, I don't know.
Troy
made an appearance on the episode, but he brought nothing new, so I don't know why I'm bringing him
Not
up.
impressed.
Oh, I know why I'm bringing him up. Because he was wearing multiple layers in a really inappropriate order.
What do you mean?
He had like a button-up shirt on.
Okay.
And then like a sports jacket. And then a vest over the top of it.
Of a sports jacket?
Yes.
Weird.
And then like Nike glasses that look like safety goggles. I don't know.
What?
So he rambled on and on.
How do you even put a vest over top top of a
I don't know.
blazer?
I'm sure the producers were like, get him on camera.
Yeah,
this is going to
leave
be
it
good.
like that.
And I guess his information was, okay, if you weren't, like if I hadn't, stolen that guy's story off of Weebly, I would. So he just basically reiterated the same stuff from there, kind of about history and stuff. So I don't even know what his name was.
Yeah, sports jacket guy.
So, hey, Connor, welcome back. Cut to Connor sitting all alone around a campfire. I don't know why.
This guy leads a sad life.
To do with anything. He's just sitting there saying,
nighttime?
He's like, William Derricks is still terrorizing locals. And then all of a sudden it's Connor and his friends in a car. So I don't know what was up with the campfire.
Just a little ambiance,
So they're in the car at night. And it's just a couple of his friends, and they're going to travel to Pigman Road to investigate.
Okay.
So Travel Channel gets the opportunity to use their sweet night vision cameras.
Yes.
So they go to... Connor takes them to that place where he said the home had burned down. Where he found the cinder blocks and the roofing and stuff. So everyone notices cold shivers when they're at the site.
Because it's cold.
They were all wearing winter coats, so I can only assume it's cold outside. So.
But, I mean, you can always...
Yeah.
I felt those different kind of shivers before, though. Yeah.
And
you know the difference.
And then they're like, okay, does anybody want to try to talk to? And all of his friends are like, no, we're just here because we wanted to be on this TV show. We don't, we're not actually
into this guy.
And so Connor's like, fine, I'll do it. Of course you will,
I don't know if I would talk to this.
So he asks, who is here? Why are you here? What is your purpose?
I love that.
And then a dog starts barking and they all lose their minds. They like freak out, start yelling. They're like, I've never heard anything like that.
It's a chihuahua.
Like, it's a dog. How have you never heard anything like that? So they all run to the car.
Fear, you know.
And they're like, it sounded like a demonic pig. It couldn't have been human. And I'm like, again.
It was a dog.
It was a dog.
They're not human.
No. And then,
a demonic pig.
And then that was pretty much how the episode wrapped up.
Sounds amazing.
The Pigman of Angola. So Hometown Horror Travel
Hometown
Channel.
Horror.
I might check it out. Check out some more episodes and try to get some inspiration for future stories.
I love that.
All right.
Well, thanks, Amy.
No worries.
Let me do a little stretch.
All right.
That was good.
Pop my back.
Okay. Whew. All right. Let's get to this.
Let's do it.
All right. So my episode, story.
Sorry. She gets her own episode.
Okay. So why am I doing this?
I don't know. Namaste.
Namaste, Amy. I'm nervous. I don't know why. Today I'm doing the Suicide Forest of Japan.
Oh.
AKA Aokigahara.
What's the movie about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Aokigahara. I put in here phonetic pronunciations of all of these Japanese
Good idea.
words.
Why don't we do that every time? There's stuff we can't.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to be offensive. So, obvious trigger warning. I'm going to work really, really hard to use the language completed suicide. I read something recently about how we should be saying completed suicide rather than commit suicide because you commit crimes. Suicide's not a crime.
No.
But if I screw that up, forgive me because it's really hard changing
only
that
human.
language.
Yeah, it is. And and we do recognize though that is not what is deemed appropriate.
Right.
And we are all on board for that.
And then I also wrote, as someone who's dealt with depression, anxiety, just again, trigger warning about suicide. There's a lot of talk about it in here. And then I wrote, enter number of suicide prevention hotline, and which I didn't. So I'm going to do that really quick here. Prevention hotline. Well, this is only in America, I think, probably. Crap, it's so slow. Why? So if you are having suicidal thoughts, please call someone. 1-800-273-8255. You can also just Google it, and there's also a chat option. Talk to someone, reach out.
And I don't know the number off the top of my head, but there's also a text option that you can do because
because texting is helpful. So anyway, I just wanted to put that up top. Okay, so Aokigahara Forest, which literally means Sea of Trees, can be found on the northwestern flank of Mount Fuji on the island of Honshu in Japan. The forest, this is funny because I can see that this sentence was not completed. It's because I copied this twice. Here we go. It is on top of 30 square kilometers, 12 square miles, of hardened lava laid down by the last major eruption of Mount Fuji, which is interesting. So, it's lava, and then the forest is built on top of that.
Which is crazy. You wouldn't think anything could take... When I think,
I know.
hardened lava, I think nothing's getting through that.
And maybe it's, down a little bit under the soil. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I would still think it would obstruct the roots, and those are some hardy trees.
They're legit trees. The western edge of Aokigahara, where there are several caves that fill with ice in the winter, which is interesting. And this, the western edge of the forest is a popular destination for tourists and school trips. Because I guess maybe there it's not as, slightly scary as it is in other places. There are parts of the forest, though, that are very dense. And everything I read, it talks so much about how, when you go into this forest, it is silence. You can't hear anything because the porous lava rock absorbs sound. Oh. Not like regular dirt. And then just how the forest is so dense that it's just when you're in there, you can just hear your own breath.
All right. And is it too dense really for even wildlife and stuff probably?
I don't know. it just...
When I think of a forest, I think of all the... I just think
critters.
of the noises I hear in the mornings on my
squirrels
porch.
and such. I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't really... But everyone just talks about... Like, every article I read talks about how creepy and eerie it is because it's just so silent and dense.
And that would be really dark, too.
Yes.
With the density of the sunlight can't penetrate that.
Phones don't work in the forest because something to do with that lava rock. It messes with the
and you're in a forest.
Magnets. True. But like magnetically, it also messes with compasses. So like people get lost in here all the time, which is horrifying.
Yes.
So it's so dense and lush that people who go in to volunteer for searches use ribbon or tape to mark their way through the forest so they can find their way out. And I remember that from that movie. If you do. Yeah. So like people will just have this like tape or a ribbon and just kind of string it along as they go so they can find their way out.
Yeah, very Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, and just like there's just been crossings of tape and there are stories online too of people who have had their tape cut and then not being able to find their way out. And I wrote either by a person or a ghost because it's unclear. Either way, not cool.
No, for shame. Whoever,
either way, horrifying.
That.
So the forest has a historical reputation as a home to yurei, which are ghosts of the dead in Japanese mythology. Have we done a session? My words, Have either of us done yurei before? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay, good, because I go into a little detail about what they are. So at least since the 1960s, Aokigahara has become associated with suicide, eventually becoming known in English by the name the Suicide Forest and gaining reputation as one of the world's most used suicide sites. So because of this, at the beginning of one of the head trails that goes into the forest, there's like a sign that's really asks people who are suicidal that are going in for that purpose to really think about what they're doing. There's a suicide prevention hotline on there.
Well, that at least they're being proactive.
Yeah, and they're like, please just like stop and think about what you're doing. Think about your family. In 2003, 150 bodies were found in the forest. In 2010, it was more than 200. Who attempted suicide and 54 whom had completed, who hadn't completed of those who didn't complete the act. Suicides are said to increase during March, which is the end of the fiscal year in Japan, which is just so sad. Most common means of suicide in the forest are hanging or drug overdose. But in recent years, local officials have stopped publicizing the numbers in an effort to decrease the forest association with suicide. So they're not like putting it out there into space how many folks this is happening to. But, as I read more about this, we live in America, and in America, suicide is a very shameful act. Like most people apply shame to suicide. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like we're getting away from that.
Yes.
Though. I think now that we're learning more about mental illness and mental health, I do feel we have a long way to go.
True.
But I do feel like we are taking a huge step in the right direction.
Right.
Which we need to.
Yes.
Because otherwise you're never going to be able to have people who have those thoughts and those feelings be comfortable to admit it and talk about it.
Right. It's definitely different though. Like in Japan, historically, samurai used to complete suicide as a way of upholding honor rather than falling to their enemy. And that's not, that's definitely not in the history of America.
No.
That sort of, thought process.
And there are a lot of cultures.
Yeah.
And religions even that take that stance.
Yeah.
But there's always hope, everyone.
Yeah, there is.
My message. Just please. You're loved.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yes, you are our people, our little weirdos. There's also a lot of folklore around the idea of, I'm going to say this word incorrectly, I'm sure, because I didn't put my phonetic pronunciation. Yubasut, happening in Okigahara. Oh my gosh. Which is the practice of leaving your elderly or disabled relative and taking them to a desolate place and leaving them there.
Yeah.
So there, as I read that this is really lore and legend in Japan, and it's not clear to me whether that actually, I don't think that happens anymore, or whether that even did happen.
I think that did used to happen.
Okay.
A long time
ago.
I
think they probably just didn't have the resources, you know?
And a lot of times of the elderly people, they...
Take me, please.
They thought that was also very honorable.
Yeah. Which, I guess... Yeah, when you think about it, they just are putting their family first.
Which always makes me think of the book The Giver. Because that's what
It's been a minute since I've read The Giver.
Oh. great book. I mean, if
No, I have it at home. It's on my bookshelf.
Grade, I guess, but whatever. It's a good book.
Do they do that in the book?
Well, spoiler alert, everybody.
Well, it's like
when you become a certain age and you're elderly, they have like this big celebration, and so like the boy in the book thinks, oh, they're getting to go somewhere fun or something, but they actually like euthanize them.
Oh,
yeah. So
I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. Okay.
Because remember, then they're going to euthanize the little boy, the baby that he saves, because
I don't remember
he doesn't, because he cries and stuff, so they can't. The giver. Oh,
I'm going to go home and read it. It's on my. I have read it, but it's a tiny. Yeah, it's been a minute, and I don't remember. I have the worst memory of all time.
I do too, but I don't.
That one you remembered.
Yeah.
Okay, so the forest, I already said this, is said to be home to many yurei, which are comparable to what we in America and a lot of other countries call ghosts. So according to traditional Japanese beliefs, all humans have a spirit or a soul. When a person dies, their soul leaves their body and enters a form of purgatory where it waits for the proper funeral and post-funeral rites to be performed so that it may join its ancestors. If this is done correctly, the soul is believed to be a protector of the living family and returns yearly in August during the Oban festival to receive thanks. That seems so nice.
Yeah.
Come on home. And then everyone comes home and you're like, thanks. Thank you. No, thank you.
It's like on American Idol, and they return to their hometowns.
Exactly, it's hometown.
I hate that show.
Me too, or on The Bachelor, hometown dates. Not quite. But if the person dies in a sudden or violent manner, such as murder or suicide, things go a little differently because it's not this lovely, peaceful thing. So if that happens, and if the proper rites have... So if they die in a manner like that, or if the proper rites have not been performed, or if they are influenced by powerful emotions such as a desire for revenge, love, jealousy, hatred, or sorrow, the soul is believed to transform into a yurei, which can then bridge the gap back to the physical world. I know.
Okay.
It's frightening.
Yikes.
The emotion or thought need not be particularly strong or driven. Even innocuous thoughts can cause a death to become disturbed. Once a thought enters the mind of a dying person, their yurei can come back to complete the action. Last thought. Anyway, moving on.
So, moral of the story, that think happy thoughts when it's your time, I guess. I don't...
Yeah, or if you're just like, you randomly just have a random thought. It's really disturbing.
If you're super vengeful and like, haha, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I will be haunting you every night for the rest of your life.
Right? Okay, so the yurei then exists on Earth until it can be laid to rest. Either by performing those rituals that needed to be done and weren't, or resolving the emotional conflict that still ties it to the physical plane. So it's like, how do you figure that out? Hello, what's your deal? What do you need?
What is tying you here?
Are you in love with someone? Are you sorrowful?
You're just here to check on your extended car warranty?
Right.
What's happening?
Do you have an issue with revenge? If the rituals are not completed or the conflict left unresolved, the yurei will persist in its haunting. This is going somewhere.
Okay.
Oftentimes, the lower the social rank of the person who died violently or was treated harshly during life, the more powerful as a yurei they would return. Which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, I have zero social life, so
yes,
I would be very weak. I wouldn't even be able to make a flashlight flicker. With
the lower, the more powerful you are. So you really get revenge.
Yeah, I misheard that. Okay, look out.
I know. It's kind of like, vindictive.
She may have been incredibly reclusive and introverted while alive.
Now, here's what's creepy to me, okay?
Okay.
So, the appearance of yurei are somewhat uniform. So, like, they all kind of look the same. They are always wearing white clothing. Okay. So, dressed in white, usually signifying the white burial kimono that's used in a lot of their funeral rituals.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yep. Then. But it's like, what if you didn't get a funeral? Black hair, which, I mean, a lot of people who live in Japan would have black hair, typically. But it's long, black, disheveled, It's the ring. Like,
yeah.
No, not the ring.
No, that's the ring where her hair is hanging in front of her face.
Yeah, she's not.
Or the grudge.
The Grudge is exactly what I'm thinking of. I think that's literally probably based off of this.
Yeah.
Literally, probably.
I love Japanese horror films.
Oh my God, yeah. And you had a little Sarah Michelle Gellar in there, and it's like perfect. What more do you, when she's washing her hair and that hand's there?
It's a perfect combination.
Okay, I don't understand this. The hair of a yurei is long, black, and disheveled, which some believe to be a trademark carried over from kabuki theaters where wigs are used for all actors. What? And then it says, this is from Wikipedia, you all. This is a misconception. Japanese women traditionally grew their hair long and wore it pinned up, and it was let down for the funeral and burial. I don't know if that's true. That may be a huge generalization. That's Wikipedia for you. Okay. Hands and feet. So the hands of a yurei are said to dangle lifelessly from the wrists, which are held outstretched with the elbows near the body. It's like
T-Rex.
with broken wrists.
Yes.
Broken wrist T-Rex.
I can't type anything. I can't text. This is so terrible.
They typically lack legs and feet, and they just float.
Then they don't need legs and feet, I guess, if they're floating.
Truth. They're typically depicted as being accompanied by a pair of floating flames or will-o'-the-wisps. Have you ever watched the movie Brave? It's a Disney cartoon. She's Scottish. I think she's Scottish. Anyway, in that movie, she follows the will-o'-the-wisps into the forest, and it leads her to a witch. And they're just literally like little flames. Oh. I never heard of that until I was doing this, and I was like, I thought that was like a Scottish folklore thing, but here it comes.
Just the Pigman driving his black Ford pickup through the woods. Flame shooting out of his exhaust pipes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's just kind of what the ghosts tend to look like that people see. So in the forest, people see actual ghosts. They hear sounds. They have weird, creepy feelings. I searched and searched and searched for actual experiences, and I found one.
Hey, that's all you need.
But if you remember, there was that YouTuber who got in a lot of trouble.
As he should have. It wasn't it
Logan
Paul?
I don't know.
I don't know the difference between Logan Paul and Jake Paul.
Don't even know who either of
One
those.
of them has been like fighting these
the
like MMA fighters or whatever. They're both dumb. And that's really, really rude.
Oh, it is absolutely.
And incredibly insensitive.
Absolutely.
And he deserved to be canceled.
Absolutely. And I mean, people go into this forest. I'm going to tell you the one story I found in a minute. But like people go in the forest to like hike and to do normal
forest stuff.
I shouldn't say normal. That's not what I meant. But like forest stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Like
hiking
not with the purpose
camping
of yes. And
a day with nature.
We'll come across a person who has completed suicide hanging from a tree.
Yeah, how dramatic.
You can Google it. I wouldn't recommend it, but there are images online of just like 3 pairs of shoes set up. Like these people completed suicide, and here's kind of what they left behind. It's horribly tragic and so sad and just heartbreaking. And some, people historically have went here to complete suicide because the chances of being caught and stopped are very small because it is so big and dense and so it's horribly sad. And that guy exploiting this is and putting it on his YouTube channel is so gross. And you're like, that person has a family. That's disgusting.
Shame on you, Logan or Jake Paul, whichever one you are.
Paul, man. Okay, so the one experience that I found was from, oh crap, I didn't write down. I don't have my notes.
It's all right. We're doing another episode right after this.
Yeah, I'll do it. Haunted housekeeping. It's like Japan. It's like a magazine from Japan. It's right here in my notes. A writer for the Japan Times. I'm so dumb. And the other thing is that people often hear blood-curdling screams. And they claim, the folklore is that it's made from the yurei, that they will just let out these blood-curdling, unnatural howling screams because they're just in such...
Yeah.
They're so upset and angry and unsettled and whatnot. So a writer for the Japan Times He was walking through the forest. You know, I guess he was probably doing a story about the forest itself, or I don't know. But he's just walking through, and suddenly he hears this just terrifying, blood-curdling scream. And he's like, oh my God.
So
and your first thought would be like, oh my God, someone's hurting themselves. So he stopped, he turned around, and he started running towards the source of the scream because he was like, someone maybe has changed their mind or needs help or whatever.
Or someone's being attacked.
Someone's being attacked, fallen down, fallen into one of these caves filled with ice. Like, this place is a nightmare.
There are only certain scenarios where a blood-curdling scream is applicable.
Yes,
so all of which you should probably
It wasn't
help.
good. So he turns around, he's running. He comes straight into a dead man. A man who's been dead for months. He is not newly dead. When he got there, the screaming immediately stopped. And this man was hanging from this tree. And so he thinks that was the scream of his Uri, screaming in English. Yeah. And that's the only experience that I found.
Hey.
I mean, I searched on Reddit.
Because it's probably, if you do experience something in that forest, I can't imagine you would be okay. I mean, you would probably have to talk to a therapist about it.
Yes.
But
well,
not,
and maybe a lot of people who have had experiences haven't made it out alive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know.
Or also maybe they have enough respect.
Yeah.
For the people, you know, who have lost their lives there, that they just, out of respect, don't talk about it. It's very sad.
I don't think I'd want to go there, though.
No.
It sounds very creepy.
I agree.
Okay, everyone. Well,
good job.
Thank you. Okay, our socials. We are On Haunt Podcast on Twitter. On The Haunt on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
You are.
What am I? At Amy on the Haunt on Twitter. I don't know. I do is post funny.
Do it. Memes. Follow her. You have to follow Amy. So Amy's on Twitter now. She's got her own, On the Haunt Twitter, and she's hilarious. So follow her at Amy on the Haunt. I'm at Haunted Whitney on Twitter. Send us an email on thehaunt@gmail.com. Anything else? We got merch. So. Go to our website, On the Haunt Podcast. We got some merch. Someone bought a shirt.
Woo!
It's someone who knows Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't remember your name. God, I'll look and then put in Haunted Housekeeping. Yeah. Okay. That is all.
Guys, that is it. We got another one to record because, vacations are coming. So
we love you.
Bye.
Take care.